Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today, I am so excited to have on a 32-year-old from London, Ontario. His hockey journey took him to Canada, the USA, England, Scotland, and Wales. He was an EIHL second team All-Star like yours truly, I think the same year, Challenge Cup champion with the Nottingham Panthers, a Kelly Cup champion, hoping he went to the Lani Kai, amassed 138 points in 140 EIHL games played, and folks, 293 penalty minutes. That's for the kids and the fans that love fights. And he is probably the best looking hockey player I've ever played with. Welcome to the podcast, Leigh Salters.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having me, man. It's honestly, I feel like honored to be on here now with all the guests you guys have had on here and some of the stories. And I love it, man. I listen to it quite regularly. And
awesome.
Thanks for having me.
No, dude, I love to hear when people listen. Like I really do, because I do love doing this and it's a passion of mine. And when I know the memories it's brought back for me. So when I hear my buddies are listening and they say, oh, do you remember this? Or do you remember that? It's all flooding back to me. And it makes me happy when people are listening.
And that's what you remember, man. It's not like the, backdoor pass you're making and, scoring a goal. It's the stories, it's the shenanigans in the room or on the ice that, obviously, carry on in the friendships and, so it's a little bit sentimental, but that's true. So.
Yeah, no. So I guess I'll get into how we know each other, which is it starts off a little bit with the opening segment there with Zoe. If that did record correctly, is Lisa's gone for the weekend on a girls' trip, and I got the kids, and we've made a deal that they are big enough, and we've made a fort in my bedroom, and we're all going to sleep in this fort in our room. But the only deal is that they actually have to go in there and go to bed so Dad can podcast now, because it is 8:30 at night and it's bedtime. So we'll see how this goes. But part of that is because you were very close with my daughter, which you've babysat for her, but every time we would go to the bar, or not that we went that often, but if we went for a couple afternoon pops, she'd be scared of Hendo and his beard, but she warmed right up to you. She'd be sitting on your lap all the time and she'd be scared of every other guy at the table.
Yeah, we kind of hit it off right from the get-go, and I remember that, and she always had the cutest little smile, and I haven't seen her in, I don't know, what is that, 6 years, 5 years?
She's 6 now, and she was born the first year. So yeah, she was about turning 1 throughout that year, right? She turned 1 in February that year. So yeah, she was very young, and you guys did hit it off. And then I'd hang out with Hendo, and he would just look at her and she'd scream.
She wouldn't be happy with Hendo. There's it had to have been that great big beard. He had a mop on him too, right? So we, or maybe because he was about 16 pints deep at the time too, slurring his words. One of the three things anyway. But,
dear, yeah. No, but you guys did hit it off. And when Colby had been on for Hendo and they had hit it off, and then I was like, Zoe, Salty's coming on. She's like, yeah, I want to do it. I'm like, Colby, you good with sitting this one out? He's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. And Zoe wanted it. She wanted to say hi. I'd shown her the pictures of her as a baby sitting on your lap at all the different pubs in town.
Yeah, Salty on babysitting duty there. I didn't mind it, man. She was an awesome little girl, and I'm sure she is now still, right? But
she's a handful. There's some Wally in her. There's also some Lisa in her. She's a real mix of the two of us. So how we know each other is we were supposed to be line mates the 2015-16 Devil season, and we played about a preseason or 2 game together, and then I battled for a few games, then that was that. You battled injuries that year too, so it never did happen, but you were supposed to be the big left winger that went to the net hard and made space, and I was going to be the right winger, and it sounded like it made a lot of sense on paper, and then we just never did play together.
Yeah, I mean, even from the year before playing you guys, I remember you and, playing, we only played each other what 4 times, something like that, 2 at home, 2 away when I was in Brea, and excited with even in the pregame or preseason when Lordo was telling me who I'm playing with. I'm like, all right on. You know what I mean? Playing with like another guy who was on the All-Star team, and remember playing against you, and guy that I can clear some space for and do his work, and I can clean up a little bit of his clean up and ride his coattails a little bit there and get some
Oh,
points in there as well, man. So
the first preseason game I saw you play in the big blue tent, I was like, how is this guy not in the NHL? You laid out like 3 guys, you took it to the net. The fans were just going absolutely Looney Tunes, but you battled injuries that year too. But we'll get into all that crap later. So this is still how we know each other. Is I guess the last time I saw you would have been about the year after we're done. I went to London for a concert and we hooked up.
that's right. I forgot about that one actually. That was where was that? That was just like, I don't even know if that bar's still there. Like it
It's
was
right
like
by the London Knights Arena, right?
right. Yeah. What concert were you at then?
Chris Stapleton with the brother-in-law.
What a good concert, eh?
Yeah.
He's a performer. Yeah, that was a couple pints there, eh? Got into it
We
a little
warmed up
bit.
for that concert there, but that was literally the last time I saw you. And
Yeah.
then we texted like for at least a couple years out of hockey, and then all of a sudden we weren't for a bit. But I had one more other. Oh no, we'll get into that too. So now it is, because we had lost touch, is where and what are you doing now? Because that's where I was. Yeah, where and what are you doing now?
Yeah, I kind of picked up and left my hometown of London, Ontario. I guess I stopped playing hockey first, and I got settled in London, and I was writing my dissertation at the time, like you would have been doing it at one single time, and I'm like, wow, I am not cut out for sitting in an office all day, man. Like I don't know, like I can't sit there, and even just the concentration. And I think you gave me the right, like the only time things were flowing when I got a little bit of lubrication in there. Had to get a little bit of wine, maybe a couple beers going. I might have got a little bit of a hint from Wally on that one in terms of being, hey, it gets everything better if you just get it on paper and then you just get the editing done later. So that's how I kind of ended up doing my dissertation. And
You got to get the words down.
that's it. That's all that matters, man. Make it, and then it helps too when I got a sister who's a doctor, and pigs and in the UK who's got time to edit it, and I look back at it again, it's completely different. But no, anyways, I was writing my dissertation there, and then in London, and
Last time I talked to you, you had just got a job as like a project manager, right? Because you did your MBA in project management. Last time I saw you or talked to you, I don't know if we actually saw each other, but you were like, I got a job as a project manager. Then the next time we talked, you were out west. So
yeah,
what happens there?
I was way over my head in that project management position. I got this job, I don't know, some from a buddy at the gym, and I get there and like I have no idea what the hell's going on, and it was way over my head, and it was like building construction. So I can give you like a basic understanding of what you need to build a house, but when they were like, there was no training. They were like, here's your portfolio, no, go build a house. And I'm gotta, gather all these, contractors and subcontractors and sort this out myself. Safe to say it didn't last. I think I lasted like 6 weeks, and I was like, I am not doing this anymore. And I got out of there.
I actually think I just finished that exact actual course, which is not what we really took at our MBA. I just finished a construction contractor management course. Yeah. So that would be what you were doing there. Yeah. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that job, and it was just so short-lived.
So it didn't last long, and then you decide to head out west. So what are you doing out there? And where are you?
Yeah, I picked up all my stuff, and I was kind of, putting around, and I always wanted to get in the firefighting, and I was trying to do it a little bit here and there in Ontario, and then I was like, you know what, like I've moved around so much in my life, and if I have to come back one day, and I've always loved it out here in Vancouver, and I was like, I have to come back and just come back. So I kind of just packed my car up, and I was like, I'm going to sort it out when I get there. And I moved out here, and man, it just like, I moved out here, and then within like a couple months, man, things just started clicking. I got on with the fire department here in West Vancouver. So I live in Vancouver.
So you just went out there. You just went.
Yeah. And then another buddy kind of hooked me up with a job in the meantime, just coaching some like private lessons in hockey. to kind of get my foot in the door, and I could kind of fully commit with applying for the fire department. Brent Henley, you might have remembered him in Nottingham, the big guy. He was like 6'7", 6'8", a good buddy of mine. So he's still here. I got some buddies, and my sister lives here. So I wasn't going in here completely blind. I knew a couple people, but it was obviously the lifestyle, and
Well, that's
living out here
awesome,
that
man.
really drew me out here. So so I got, closest thing to being in the dressing room to, is probably being around these guys at the fire hall. It's
So you are a firefighter now. You did it.
I did it, made it happen.
Hey, cheers, buddy.
Cheers, buddy. Yeah,
I know how hard you worked, and that's awesome, man. And it takes years and of dedication and like having all the stuff done. And I've seen people try to go through it, and there's people that give up and do something else. And man, well done. Good job.
No, appreciate that. But it's love the gig, and I think the best part about the job is just the camaraderie like you get in the dressing room, right? So yeah, and it obviously is super rewarding at the same time too. So
no, that's awesome. And I think that's actually another way. One part of being a hockey player I really enjoyed was like especially being overseas was the main part, or like even in college, was when people's family would come to town, like getting to know their families. I did get to know your sister, and I can't remember what we did, but she was there.
Yeah, she came around, I don't know, probably around like my birthday or something, maybe around March before the playoff time. And she's great. I mean, she's actually an epidemiologist right now. So
Sorry,
her
what was
job
that?
is she's an epidemiologist. So that's a super, in job right now, I guess, because it's epidemiology.
What does that mean?
So basically, she's a researcher of infectious diseases.
Oh dear. Well, that would be on the upswing for job opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. So no, super great girl, and but she likes to have a good time. So I'm sure you guys hit it off great, as I know you and
I
her.
forget what it was. I think I can't remember why we met. We all drove somewhere together, and I don't know, we hung out quite a bit. Like I remember you coming to the playgrounds with me with the kids. Like there were a couple times where you were injured and I was injured, and we go to the playground together with a beer or two, and just like the kids would play on the playground, and we stand there and just have a couple beers, and like, yeah, sorry folks if you don't like it, that's what we did.
Couple roadies down to the Cardiff Quay, man. Just that's the only way you could do it. Right, and the kids loved it. Colby was jumping off everything. I don't think he ever took off that Hulk costume. That guy was Hulk crazy. So anything that as long as we were in that, he was happy.
yeah, we did hit the bay a few times. Okay, so we'll get into this now. Is your minor hockey? You're from London, Ontario. I'd like to know from London to the Guelph Storm, and because my research team is so thorough, it did say that I think some point here you play with Drew Doughty in minor hockey and in the OHL. So maybe mix that in part of the story here on the way through.
Yeah, luckily, you know what? We had an unbelievable minor hockey team. Like what do you have? We had something like 10 guys drafted at the OHL that year, and we were running over teams, and we had Doughty and Logan Couture on our team growing up in minor hockey.
For London, Ontario.
London, Ontario, the London Junior Knight. So, some pretty decent players to ride.
So it's pretty similar to the 83 Woolwich Township team of Single A.
Oh, yeah. Who did they develop? Who did they bring?
We had Weidman, Walton, Lackner, Hogg, and Bauman. I don't know if you've heard of all of them, but they're pretty big deals.
There's some players out there, man. There's some players in there.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so we ended up so going in the draft year, I got drafted Drew got drafted, I think, like 5th overall or something like that, and I didn't really know where I was going to be drafted. I was kind of thought it was between the 2nd and 3rd round, and ended up going 2nd round, like very last pick, to the same team as Drew, to the Guelph Storm. So I think playing on a team obviously benefits you a little bit. I think I don't know if I would have been in the same position if I was playing for the Woolwich Township of Single A by myself, right? So but I was able to ride those coattails, and
I don't think that's it. I've seen you play. You weren't riding any coattails. But one thing I did notice about a trend in your career, just we'll get into this, but like you were a very late bloomer in the scoring touch area. But so then, okay, so you're playing with Drew and he gets drafted high. You both go to Guelph. But
Yeah.
then I did see like your first season is like, what role are you playing? Because it looked like basically no points and quite a few pims.
Yeah, it was early on, man. Like I was a, big guy. I think I've been the same height since I was in grade 9, right? Like, from a early age, I was
Me
like,
too.
I was in, especially when you're like 6'4" and you're running over kids that are, 5'3" and, minor bit midget or whatever it is, right? You're going to get some looks. But then when you get up to the next level, you're still 6'4", but you're not playing against those same guys anymore, right? So, obviously the points dropped off. I'm not getting the same minutes as Drew's getting. We lived together, actually, me and Drew in our first year too, and billeted with the same family. So obviously we knew each other quite well, and we got in a good spot. But you know what, man, it was kind of frustrating. You're 16, you're not getting the same playing minutes of a guy that you grew up with. But seeing it now, you're like, man, I had no. Obviously, I didn't get the same minutes as Drew did, but no, it was yeah. I was
Like,
a
did
late
you go to
bloomer
the O and
in that
start
sense.
fighting?
Oh yeah, I think like with it, I liked it. I was so like I was like I liked being especially in a spot where I was a younger guy. When I was fighting like overage or like 21-year-old guys, and who I shouldn't be beating, but I was, right.
And then
So
you
I
get
think
the
it was like
juices flowing, and then you want to do it again, especially at that age, eh? When you get the
oh
crowd
yeah.
buzzing too.
Oh yeah, you get your first taste of it, and the crowd's going, and you're sitting in front of a big sellout crowd of in Guelph or whatever it is, 5,000 people, right? And then you think it's great, and the atmosphere is going. You're helping out the guys, but then again, it really kind of pigeonholes you too, right?
Well,
So
once you start doing it, like it's like I've talked to many guys, like once you go down that path, it's hard to get out of it. It's hard to become a skill guy again because you'd have to put up a lot of points while doing it to start transitioning out of it, right?
exactly, and that's exactly what happened with me too. And I think it was like 3.5 years there. I was with Guelph, and I didn't put up barely any points. You know what I mean? And like, I don't even think I put up. I think all my majors were all my penalty minutes were just fighting majors because I wasn't on the ice long enough to even get a minor. Right? Like, I was the guy who got it over the red line, and I was getting benched if I didn't dump it into the corner and get off the ice. Right? So, yeah, I ended up playing 3.5 years there, and then ended up going to Guelph after or London. I got traded back to my hometown
Yeah,
after that.
that was one of my notes was trade. These are my notes. Traded to hometown, Hunters start scoring. Those are my notes.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I owe everything into like my career and in whatever it was to those guys. They developed me into a player, and not even just developed me into a player, but gave me an opportunity, right? And
Yeah.
they see something in guys, and their scouting is better than any other team in the OHL, bar none. You can see by the
I still
how
don't
they do.
understand how they do it, right? If they're not paying people, like if you give up all these draft picks to get the best players in the league every year, how do you keep having draft picks to have the next best players to keep getting more? Like, I don't get how they still have draft picks every year, but hey,
They leave it to the hunters to figure out, right?
I guess I don't pay attention to the OHL, but I've never
No.
understood that.
No, they got like, and then they get flyers too with like 6 and 7 round guys who don't commit, right? And they get the guys who are already committed to like
Oh, they get the guys
NCAA.
that thought they were going for a scholarship, and then they flaunt their shit at them, and then all of a sudden they're a London Knight like Patrick Kane or whatever, all the different guys.
Exactly. Patty Maroon, Sam Gagne, like all these guys, right? Like guys who came in and were going to school, and they
Well,
just
yeah,
bring them in for a game and see a 10,000 seat sellout arena, and being like, hey, it's like a mini NHL there, and they treat you like pros there too.
right. And the coaching is good, and you see what they're pumping out there. Like their coaching is a big deal. Having good coaching and being ready for the next step and knowing how they're gonna treat you and deal with you. Like I had no clue when I got there. Like
Oh yeah.
not a clue.
It makes all the difference in the world. And like you get a coach who sees something in you, that makes all the difference in the world, if opposed to someone who sees you as
As the
someone who's just going to
goon,
get the
as the guy
tap
that,
on the
yeah,
shoulder,
yeah.
which I've been many times before. But I also I didn't mind it either, right? You just make advantage of it, and you do what you got to do. And to me, you're just part of the team, right? And I think that team, being part of the team thing, meant more than anything to me, anyways. So
Oh man, yeah, you're bringing back memories when you say like you thrive on the crowd. Was guy remember after the Welsh national anthem there in Cardiff, like you literally would, you'd get the hair, you had long hair at the time, and you would fling the hair back, squirt it with water, and you could just see every woman in the arena just go, ah. And the guys were like, Jesus Christ, what is he? Oh my, yeah. And then it was like, and you're like, yeah, no, yeah, no, he's got the crowd buzzing. The crowd is buzzing. They like it every night. It was, and then yeah, I was standing there with Deese watching him drink out of a McDonald's cup.
Or just filling up a McDonald's cup full of chew the whole game, right? Oh
Yeah,
man, that
no.
guy was, it
That was
was
a
not a
strange year
healthy
though,
man.
because you were a part of some of the weird stuff because you sat out for being injured quite a bit. But moving on, we were in London, and so that's when you started scoring.
I did. Yeah, I ended up stringing some, getting up. I think after I played for half a year there, and then after the deadline, I went over there with like Tavares and Del Zotto and Kadri and John Carlson and Zach Ronaldo. Like we had a great team. We
That
just
was
kind
all
of
on the same team.
we lost to that Windsor team who won it back to back years. So they were a
Wow.
pretty good team too. But I thought we were, a little bit better than them. But I think it was more so goaltending that kind of. I'm not put anybody on the spot, but you can
Oh
research
dear.
that self.
That sucks. Yeah, that's like the guy that took 2 penalties in overtime in Germany on me.
Oh
Game
man.
game 5 of best of 5. But yeah, no, I understand. Um, so yeah, you started scoring though, and then like your team's winning, which gets guys places, right? Because when teams win,
Exactly.
people start watching. They're like, well, why is this team winning? Who's good on them? Like that's
Mhm.
how it works. But going pro, like what's the options there?
So I was kind of going limited, kind of going, am I going to go to Western, go the school route? And I had kind of committed to UWO, the Western, to go to school there. And then I'm like, well, I'm already going to San Jose's camp. So I'm going to go, I know, see that and, get in there and then, see what happens. I'm just going in, you know what I mean? I'm not expecting
So
much. And
you're
then
just
it
going for a
turns out,
tryout with San Jose?
yeah, just going, I signed like just a tryout agreement, right? So you go in there not expecting much, and because I think we had a couple guys drafted by San Jose at the time, and obviously they were at games, so I got invited to this camp, and turned out I have a pretty good camp. So we had that mini camp out here in Penticton. That's actually cool here in BC, where you know, playing against the Edmontons and the Calgarys and the Vancouvers, and I think I fought twice, and I scored a couple goals, and then they actually invited me to sign like an American League East Coast League deal.
Yeah.
So I think I signed like a PTO, and I was kind of humming and hawing if I should, sign that. And I was like, I go to school. It's an AHL contract with an East Coast contract. Do I go to school? And then I played one game with them, and I think I lived in the hotel for like 3 months there in Worcester, Mass. And I was up with the team in American League at the time because that's where they wanted me. And I would have stayed there. I think, like looking back at it now, would probably have been the best thing for me to stay there. But just so happened Anaheim was there at the same time, and they get free rights to anybody who's a free agent, right? So they offered me that one-way American Hockey League deal, and of course I'm going to jump all over that because I'm
Well,
like, of
that's
course
way
they want me.
different, man. When I got sent down to the coast and I wasn't making coast money, I felt like a real big dog, man. It felt great.
Oh yeah,
And by the
absolutely.
way, I haven't mentioned my sponsor today at
Mm.
Bayfield Brewing Company. Was I just drank a Snook Stout, which you probably know, Ryan O'Reilly, and I'm about to open a cabinet maker for the fans. So there
Whoa,
you
look at
go.
that. There you go. I
Yeah,
like that. Nice little I like Bayfield has a brewery now too. I like Bayfield. I got some family there.
yeah, man, it's a great spot. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic spot. We just went there for our anniversary. It was awesome.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, no, we should meet up for some pints there.
Yeah, anytime I'm back home, I'll be back home at some point once this whole disaster is done, right?
Well,
So
when you ever make it back, we should go there. And we should also go to the Lani Kai for my 40th birthday party in 2.5 years. Just saying,
yeah,
So we'll get in. I,
yeah,
I imagine you've been to the Lani Kai before, but okay. So
many
you're in,
times.
you go to, so Anaheim's with Syracuse at that point. It's not Columbus anymore. Is that right?
Yeah, and I was with there in Syracuse, and I've never ever been more like embarrassed for like being on a team and like honestly like I don't even like I think I got dressed for almost every game and then they but like I never played. Like I would just sit there and sit there and sit there. And there's a get one game in Charlotte, I think we were at. And like, man, I was the epitome of a grocery stick. I think I got like 20 plus fights that year, and I'm fighting all those American League heavies. And but you're like, you're getting out
And
there when
that's
you're
all you do.
cold, right? And
That's
that's
all you do.
literally all I did. And like for my year there, I had John Morasti as a line mate for like half a year. And if you haven't looked up any John Morasti's fight, that's something to do as well. But I was sitting there on the bench and, as I'm always doing, I'm just, looking around, just no idea what's going on, but always ready to go, just ready to waiting for that call. And I see a guy, he's like kind of like limping back. His name was Maxime Masonhow. He's like limping back to the bench. No, it was not a hurt, but he broke a blade, his skate, right? And then I get the tap on the shoulder. He goes, Salty. And I'm all fired up, right? So I go to hop over the boards and I'm jumping. He goes, sit the down, right? And grabs me. I'm like, what? I thought you wanted me to go. He's like, no, take off your skates and give him the Maxi. I've never been more embarrassed to be on a hockey
So
team. Like,
yeah, so did he take your skates and play with them?
well, like I tried. I was like, okay, you know what I mean? I'm doing my skates, and
Yeah,
actually, Joe DePenta. I don't know if you know the name Joe DePenta.
I think I
He won a
have heard
cup
of
with the
that.
Ducks. That
Oh
guy would
man, no,
know
but
that.
like the AHL is an absolute. It was a circus back then. Like it was. I guess it would have been the I don't know when it changes the lockout. Like when I'm in Germany, I don't know because when I was there, it was an absolute. Like, yeah, I did the same thing as you though. Like I was on the fourth line and I would literally go on a bus all the way to Philadelphia from Syracuse. And then I would sit on the fourth line and I played one shift one game. And I was like, well, wow, that was a long day to go to Philadelphia to play one shift. And then I was like, well, was I supposed to fight when I went out there? I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. But yeah, no, like you, but you have the body that I guess back then when hockey players were fighting, like if you look like you do, I guess you have to fight, right?
Yeah, essentially, you get kind of again like you pigeonholed in that role, and again, I fought a lot, and you know, I think you end up being decent at it, and then you just started getting asked every game, and you're like, okay, I guess I got to do this, and it's definitely like a gentleman's game as much as it doesn't seem like it. It's like I got to give one here to take one there, right? It's like a lot of give and take in that sense, and maybe you don't want to fight, but like tomorrow I'm gonna have to if we're down, right? And trying to get a little spark for the guys. So it's even nights when you don't want it, and you're just looking for like a little snoozy night while playing your one shift and dumping it and getting it off. It's not going to happen, right? So
Oh man, that sounds exhausting. So yeah, like I saw it. I think you had like maybe an assist or I don't know. You didn't have many points, but would you have stayed in the same hotel I would have in my stay? That weird shaped one, like an octagon that goes like in Syracuse. Would you have stayed in a hotel the whole year almost?
I got told, I think I stayed there for a good 6 months, and then like the last 2 months, like, hey, you can go get a place now. I'm like, well, what kind of place am I going to
Yeah,
get, right?
it was
So
called the Marks when I stayed there. I think it was called. But
yeah,
anyways,
it was the same one. Yeah.
yeah, weird hotel. Okay. Anyways, that was just a strange question. Here we go. Now this is into my type of the world is 2 years with the Florida Everblades. And my first question, because it's the most popular spot on the pod. Have you ever been to the Lani Kai?
Been to the Lani Kai many times, my friend. Yes, it's old Salty and the Lani Kai were quite known to each other.
I can't imagine being able to go there with a body like yours. If I could go to the Lani Kai with a body like yours, I would have been there every day at 20 years old or whatever age you were.
Yeah,
Like,
man, it was a fun time. We loved the Lani Kai. If there's any chance we could get to the beach, we would.
Yeah. So did you live nearby there in Florida?
Yeah, so I played with Bobby Ray. Me and
Bobby
Bobby
Ray.
Ray were actually roommates in Florida when we won the Kelly Cup over there. So me and Bobby knew each other quite well, and yeah, we lived, 20-minute drive or something like that. It was pretty easy, 20-minute drive to the rink, and we got free golf and free, you know what I mean? Like it was shorts and flip flops to the rink every single day. I love Florida.
Oh man, what a spot that was. Like yeah, like that arena, you got the outlet mall, you got
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, the Lani Kai. Yeah, no, it's a cool spot. Yeah, I was an arch champion there and stayed there a couple other times, but that's pretty cool. So you guys did win it then, eh? Like you won the whole thing there. So you were there 2 years. What's the best memories of that place?
I think just the guys. We had I think that's what you take away from any, place you've played where you feel like you had the best time. It's always the guys, right? And yeah, I think just the relationships with those guys and some of the best buddies I've ever had were on that team, right? We were just such a close knit group, and every
That's what
night
wins, dude.
exactly, and we ran over every team in the playoffs, and it's something we kind of clicked in the last kind of quarter of the season, and I don't think we lost. We won like all our last 20 games, and then I think we lost 2 games in the rest of the playoffs in that the year when we just and then winning it at home in Florida with a sellout barn, and then Brushy, our GM, an owner, you know, doing the little things for the guys to celebrate the right way afterwards too, right?
Wow. So what does Fort Myers do for a celebration? I guess you guys were at the Lani Kai. I guess that he already or Bobby Ray already said that, right?
Yeah, we ended up getting like a weekend at the Lani Kai, just kind of like open bar, all the food, and guys were just I think just eating lobsters for breakfast because they could, right? And Brushy was fronting the bill, so after some guys are making their hundreds and hundreds of dollars a week, they were
They were
itching
living
for
the life for a weekend.
yeah, they were itching for it, man.
So actually, I don't think I wrote this down, but I just wrote Lani Kai question mark and beach body, which man, it would have been cool to go to that place with a body like yours because I was usually like staying in the room, in the shade back in the day. Um, but
Swimming with your shirt on.
yeah, no, a little zinc on the nose and the the fanny or what's it called? The fanny pack.
Little fan. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I am a dad now, I got a bit of a dad bod, but moving on. Um, that's when you really started scoring though. Was it the year you guys won it there? The first year you scored a little bit, but then the next year you weren't like just a fighter anymore. You were like almost like a point a game player in the coast or something, were you?
I tried to turn it around. I tried to change my ways there.
But like that's
I
pretty
think,
deep into your career to change your ways, right? Like you're your third year pro.
yeah, I think I always considered myself a player first, but not every coach thought of me that way, right? So, you know, it's right place, right time. I like to think I can kind of switch it on and off, but it was always hard to kind of piece it all together at the same time too, right? So,
Well, for sure. Like I was like talking to Hendo the other day was when there's a conversation with the coaches and they're the team meetings and you're thinking about the fight you're about to have, like how do you think about scoring and the power play and all the different things when you have that other thing, right?
right. Oh yeah, there's a lot going on, right? There's the mental game behind it all, and luckily in the coast, there are some tough guys, but it's nothing like the American League where you had to grind it out day in day out, and like you're sweating each day because on Saturday night you got a week to prepare, and you're lining up against what was his name, Frankie Lassard in Binghamton or something like that, right? And you're like, oh God, man, like this is going to be a nightmare game. And he's just going to, and they're just like these are like heavyweights that went on to like the Quebec Fighting League.
Yeah. And well, when I first went to the AHL, like there were two lines of players and then maybe maybe a player or two on the third line, but then it was abs like Syracuse had like actually 4 to 5 heavyweights on their team. And then you're trying to find a spot for me. And Yeah, it was a different game back then, but like I thought it was actually way more entertaining if you just didn't get the actual mutants in and like fighting was still fighting and you didn't just get it to that point that like it was actually dangerous. But I really
Exactly.
liked fighting in hockey. I thought it was awesome. And
No,
body contact.
you need it, man. It's. I mean, you do need it, and I'm obviously going to be, weighing on one side more than the other because I was always kind of that rule. But like,
I'm
man,
on
like
your side too, dude.
I can't see a day where it would ever go away. I mean, wait till someone takes a run at Connor McDavid. That's going to be a different lineup when, completely different lineup when they play that team the next time, right? So,
Well,
um,
you would have thought by now, but like they really haven't gone that way yet. Like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
um there will be a shift at some point. I think it's gotten too soft. I think there'll be a shift. But anyways, you did win it all. You love it there, and but you do decide to leave. What's the decision on going to the Nottingham Panthers? How do you leave the Fort Myers beaches and the Lani Kai to go to Nottingham?
I think at that time it was like, the dream was over. I kind of bounced up and down from, got a sniff here and there with, American League team. But like realistically, my home was in the coast, right? And I was like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I got a couple more years left. I'm gonna go play for some fun and enjoy my time, see some of the world. And I luckily got hooked up with, Corey Nielsen at the time was the head coach there. And he reached out and it was kind of a quick decision. We kind of, stopped. And I think it was within a week I was kind of on board and yeah, I loved it. And, I was so excited, never being over to Europe my entire life, being like, oh man, maybe I'm a skilled guy. I'm going to Europe now. Maybe I don't have to just dump it over the red line every chance I get it. So
Well, the one thing is like there is a ton of fighters that go over there and say, geez, maybe I don't have to fight so much. Maybe I'll just be a skill guy. And like they always thought they could be a skill guy. And there's some guys that go over there where I'm like, wow, you made billions playing the NHL. That's impressive because you suck at hockey. Um, but you came over there and you proved to everybody that like you were not just a fighter. Like you could play. Like you were putting up. So I had it on the intro. 138 points in 140 elite league games. That's for a guy that had fought basically his whole career until his last year in London and his last year in Florida. That's crazy, dude.
yeah, it's again, like I credit at right place, right time, right? You get locked in with, opportunity to, be something that you think you are and or can be, right? Obviously it depends what level you're at. And but luckily I was able to play. I always thrived on the big ice. I mean, I don't have such a quick start, but once the train gets going, it moves, right? So that's why I always kind of like the big ice. And I was able to do something about it once I got over there.
Actually, yeah, I just realized I really didn't play with you much, but I do remember you a couple times getting going. I was like, Jesus Murphy, he is flying for a big boy.
It's a shifty 245.
Oh man,
Eh?
yeah. No, but I think it was your knee that started going on you. But anyways, I just wrote down my notes were point a game, 105 pims, and challenge cup slash celebrations. So go wherever you want with that.
Yeah, so I mean, Challenge Cup, we won that in Nottingham. So that was my first year. We had a good team. Again, but we feel like we had like a rotating door, and sometimes that's kind of how it happens over there. Guys are getting over there. They have a great year, and then they end up in Austria, or guys are getting cut, and just the team doesn't seem to stay. And but luckily we had a good team, but we didn't kind of win the trophies that we wanted to win, and we were kind of a dark horse. Kind of everywhere we were kind of maybe like a fourth or fifth finish or something like that. But when it mattered, we ended up winning that Challenge Cup. We had that. I think we were down like 3 goals in aggregate, and then we ended up winning by
So it
four or
wasn't a
something like
one
that.
game final?
No, we ended up doing it was a 2-game aggregate. It used to be at the time before I think it changed the next year.
Well, folks, you're gonna have to. Well, I guess I can explain that one. Is folks, the UK league used to be even more effed up than it still is, with the regular season champion being the winner. Is that the Challenge Cup would be like soccer, where you play a home game and a road game for each team, and it's combined score. So if you're beating them 4-0, realistically, you got to play like it's still the whole. So the next game starts, it's 4-0, and then it's whoever wins after that. So you guys were down a few goals going into the final game, right?
Yeah. And I think we were going like 3 or 4 goals. We ended up winning by 4 goals. And I think we actually won it in a shootout, actually, in Nottingham, because we flew to Belfast, lost, got,
That
shelled
might be
over
the
there.
most European hockey victory ever.
Oh, it was bizarre, but winning anything at home, and I love my time in Nottingham too, man. But the whole aggregate thing's just completely backwards. Like, just
Oh, and then winning stuff in shootouts. Yeah, no, but like Nottingham seemed like an incredible place. I was there for the playoff weekend. Not as really a player, more of a pregame speaker, but I was there, and it is a cool city,
Thor,
right?
was it
Like,
right? Thor? Is that where we were?
yeah, there's a few different ones that year. They're well documented now,
I need those back.
Oh dear, you know what? They were pretty exciting. They really were. But you guys also played in the Continental Cup that year. Where did you play? Where did you get to go?
Where did we play first? So actually we had to play. We were playing against some. Like, we had a tournament first. We had to qualify before the next tournament. Like, you didn't even have to do this before, because I think England has come a long way since we first started. So we had the tournament. We were held it there in Nottingham, and we were playing against a team from Holland. We were playing against the under 21 Latvian team, and then we were playing against a Spanish team from Spain. So safe to say we ran over all 3 of those teams, and then we qualified for the next one, which was in Asiago, Italy.
Yeah, no, I played in the Continental Cup. We hosted it in Denmark, and there was a round like before our group, and the UK used to be in it. And like, to think about how far the UK has come from being not even in the real round of the Continental Cup to now being in the Champions Hockey League and being in video games is just ridiculous.
And then so happy to see those guys like on TV, you played with, and
Bouncy shutting the door with his terrible tramp stamp.
That's it, man. But it's so good to see those guys. Obviously didn't have the same kind of opportunity we had here in terms of exposure and seeing what they're able to do with it over there, man. It's great to see.
Oh yeah, so congratulations to Bouncy, who just signed a deal in Slovakia, and also to former Potter Stephen Dixon for signing back with the Devils, and future Potter Sam Duggan, which I met also over there. But hey, so cheers to all them for new contracts, because it's cool when you get to play another year, because it's fun. But anyways, moving on. So Continental Cup, though, you did make it through that round. What happened the next round?
So then we ended up in Asiago. So we played against, I think, was it a VHL team? Is that like
Second League Russia?
Second League Russia, and I think we beat them. I think we beat.
They'd be good. They'd be talented, but not structured.
Yeah, they were. I think they were like a Kazakh team from Kazakhstan, and they were flying. No, it was a VHL team, then a Kazakh team from that, because there's a Kazakh league, isn't there?
Oh man, I'll never forget the practice I watched when we were in the Continental Cup in Denmark. There was a team like from that league, or it's from the Kazakh league, and I believe they were the team that moved on, but they were practicing in our arena. So I watched it, and like, these guys, like, nobody smiled. Nobody like scored a goal and had fun. Nobody like celebrated a goal. Like, they were just practicing.
Just a
You
bunch of robots, man.
It
That's
was
what they.
nuts, man. Like to see it compared to what I am and compared to how I played the game, it was like watching them. I was like, wow, I could have never gone over there.
No chance. They had like 8 p.m. curfew. They're like not allowed to have a beer. Like you're getting like blood tested like before practice there. Like I heard some nightmare stories, but
Yeah.
it's
No, I'll never forget that practice watching those guys. Like they looked miserable and they were at work playing hockey. And I was like, that just is not what I'm about. So my question is though, this is one I'm very interested is because you have a great year in Nottingham. You show you can score, you finally get a good role, you win the Challenge Cup, but you leave.
I do. I ended up signing with Brayhead, or the Glasgow Clan is what they're called now, and um, I loved it there, man. I loved the people. I loved the team. I loved everything about Glasgow was unbelievable. And if I were to live anywhere else other than Vancouver, I'd probably live in like Glasgow. I loved it there, and but I think it was because I have a really close buddy I played with, Scott Arson, and he was from my
D-man,
hometown. The
D-man
D
number
man.
6,
That's right. So he's from
left-hand shot,
yeah,
good
yeah,
player.
we
Yeah.
got him. Yeah. He was we played for the Knights together, and we're from our same hometown. We had both played minor hockey in London, and he signs there. And I'll just go play with my buddy. At that time, I didn't really care because I just going to go play with my friends and have some fun. So I ended up going up to Glasgow and having probably the best year of my best year of my whole career
Oh, for
up there.
sure. For sure you did. You were on that line. And um yeah, I guess I'm gonna say it right now is you had that incredible year and you loved it there so much and you didn't want to leave. And Lordo wanted you so bad. Like he wanted you so bad that like I don't know what he's like with other players, but like it was weird because Hoth and this is when he's first getting into coaching and he's learning. He probably doesn't show anybody his excitement levels on signing a player anymore. But Hoth and I were doing the MBA and we were still there writing our papers, and the rest of the team's gone. And then all of a sudden one night, it's the night we're like done classes and we just got to write our paper yet. I think we're
Right.
done the classes. It's all over. And like we can move home or whatever is the same night you sign with the Cardiff Devils. And Hoth, Lordo, and myself hit the town because we're done school. And Lordo signs Salty. And holy moly, I've never seen a guy so jacked up about anything. It was nuts. So thank you for a great night out in Cardiff. You probably didn't know about that, but it was a fantastic night out.
Hey, I'm happy to help in any sense I could there, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Especially if it's
So
a good
he
night
did
on
pry
beer.
you away from there. But you had that line, eh? You had a line that was just great.
Yeah, we kind of got paired like just before Christmas, and since then we were kind of felt like every time we're in the ice we were getting a goal. It was just one of those things. We gelled well together. That was Matthew Keith and Stefan Meyer.
Right.
Yeah,
Number 10. He played
yeah,
in second league Germany. Yeah.
yeah.
One thing I remember, and I'm going to bring it up now because now I get it more. I get it way more. When I was playing with you for like my 4 games or 5 games, and they started setting up a power play, which it wasn't working. It was like Kirka and me and you and I don't know who else was on it, but like Kirka was running a half wall and I was confused where I should be. And
Right.
you were standing in front. And I remember us talking and you were like, man, I've worked so hard, like my whole career, to not just stand in front of the net. And then when I
Yeah.
looked at your resume today and I looked at what you had done, and like I saw what you did in Brayhead, and then you come to Cardiff, and I was like, I totally get why that guy would be perturbed with just standing in front because he went from scoring 0 points in the OHL to then by his 4th year getting points. Then he goes through pro to becoming a scorer. Then he becomes an elite scorer, like a second all-star team where Lordo's going out on the town, and then you wanted the puck more and you wanted to make plays more, and that power play was messed up while I was around because I was a righty, Kirka was a lefty, and I just remember the whole thing wasn't working, and I was like, I don't know where this is going for the year, but then I was done.
Yeah, and it didn't really click again. Like my time at Cardiff, I wasn't the best player I could be. I knew that. Like, you know what I mean? I was riddled with injury. I liked all the guys there. I had some other shit going on, and just from a personal standpoint, and
And you
uh,
can't play hockey good when that stuff's going on, right?
no, I was battling. Like I was like I I had a full out panic attack. You know what I mean? As much as I didn't agree with Lordo's hockey, and how he used me, and you know how I didn't agree with him, that stuff, man. Like that guy helped me out beyond belief from a personal level, and like I struggled with some stuff during that year, and I had a full panic attack where I couldn't leave my room. It was the weirdest thing. And I think it was just like anxiety of knowing it was my last year and taking on
What's
school,
next?
and
And yeah.
and then not playing hockey correctly and battling injuries. And Lordo was very great in that situation, but all that stuff that I'll never forget. It was a weird time, and but again, like I was completely there for school and the next step of my life. And I wish my hockey was a little bit better, but again, I can credit that to maybe a little injuries, and maybe not being utilized in the way that I thought I should have been. So
Yeah, well, and that happens for a lot of guys not getting utilized. But I guess I did kind of skip over Brayhead a bit because you guys were incredible that year, and you guys almost like won it because we almost won it. It was like
Mhm.
us, you guys, and yeah,
And you guys, or Sheffield, us, and
yeah,
then you guys, right? Yeah.
yeah, and you guys blew it.
Mhm.
I think worse than we blew it, right?
Oh yeah, we were awful. We lost on a game to Edinburgh
Yeah,
the
like you guys
last
should have won
weekend of
it.
the
I think you
year.
guys were supposed to win it.
Oh yeah, we lost to Edinburgh. I think we outshot them. Like I think we had like 70 shots on that and lost 2-1 or something like that. It was
Playing in
just
that
one of
rink,
those
it just
games.
can happen, eh? You just could
Mhm.
feel it happening.
It was super unlucky, but no, it was was happens meant to happen, right? And you guys were just as close too, right? You guys were 2 points away. We were 1 point away, and granted, we probably should have had the best bet because we had the easiest schedule. But um, yeah, Sheffield, the last team. It was. I really hope anybody, but
Oh man. Okay. Well, here's so yeah, that year sucked. We both teams lost, but then we both end up in Cardiff. Doesn't last long, but you do your MBA, and I think I did. Did I help you out with anything that year? I think I remember us talking about it. The Met.
oh man, I'm sure you helped me out with a lot. I was going on anybody. I was reaching for resources from any angle. I hadn't been to school since
You
grade
were
12.
nervous. Yeah, you were nervous.
Oh man, and that's what triggered like all
It
the
I
anxiety
was
and
nervous too, man. It was hard though. But then once you got into the groove and once you realized what you had to do and how to do it, because like school over there is different, right? Like you have to write like all the different bullshit at the end of like the references and all the where you got it from. And it's like, remember, you know what I'm talking about?
oh yeah, it was a weird way of writing. And like I don't know, man, I still wrote my name in crayon probably at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I was like I didn't know how to turn on a computer. Like I learned a lot last year or that year in terms of like just you know general adultness.
So did I, man. Like so did I. Like I had Colby, and then Zoe came along, and then that year taught me like what you got to do. Like you got to go. Like, you got to wake
Yeah.
up and go. Like you don't. And now that's what I do. Like my kids just went to bed. Like, and you just got to keep going, man. Right?
That's right. Yeah, you just find a way, and you can continue on this rally, but you're going to be up at the same time, right? So um, that's being a dad. I mean, luckily I don't have
Oh
those
man, it's
responsibilities
the
right
no.
now.
It's I don't know, man. Like hanging out with my kids is like the funnest time I have. And but anyways, okay, here we go. Where are we? We are in Cardiff. I think we were doing the MBA. You got through it. You did it.
Yeah, Yeah, I ended up doing it, man. But again, literally without, I was gonna try to tell a story about Pigsy actually, and like how my injuries like happened this year. I don't know if you remember the story. How so it was probably like the first like month or two into the season, and I took a slap shot right off the toe, my pinky toe, and I broke it, like just shattered it. Like it was just mush on the end of my foot. And I couldn't put a shoe on. I was like walking in flip-flops in, November because I couldn't put anything on it. I
I
couldn't put my,
remember
my
that.
boot
I
on.
remember that.
It was just the most extreme amount of pain. So, and the thing
And
about
you
the
would
UK,
only put on the skate when you would play, and you would actually play games like that. I remember that.
I would skip practices, and then like before, like I got away for a couple weeks, and when a doctor would be there, right? So the doctor would be there only for games. So in the UK, there's no ever doctors there for practice, so I could only freeze it then. So now Lordo gets in his head. He's like, "Hey, we got to start practicing at least a day before the game." I'm like, "Man, I can't get my foot in my boot." He's like, "Don't worry, I got an idea." So he gets Pigsy to steal some freezing from the, I'm sorry, allegedly steal some freezing from the hospital. And Luke Piggott, who don't know, he was at the time, he's lead researcher for, breast cancer at the time. So he's sitting in his lab injecting rats all day. So they're like, who's the most qualified to inject your toe? Luke Piggott. So he would freeze my toe every day to like allow
To
me to practice,
practice, to
to practice,
practice, to
to get
practice
me
in the
in.
UK Hockey League.
Exactly. So thank Luke Piggott for freezing my toe and
Episode
getting me into
one,
training.
and with Carl Hudson. I don't know what episode that one was. There's been a lot lately, folks. Just so you know, we're flooding the market. We're fudging the numbers. We're gonna see if we can be number one just for 1 week, folks. I booked another one tomorrow. It's full
Oh
go.
boy, that's
Yeah,
it. Full
we're doing
blown.
5 in a week. Fuck them all. Chris Blake tomorrow, Cardiff Devils fans. I know there's an army of 60 or 70 you're listening every day. If you guys got it, you know what though, Salters? This is the real reason why I started flooring it. It was like I obviously have my ideas in my head of like being number one in the UK for a week and doing locals week and that stuff. But when I started doing this, I was like, I don't know, 15 episodes in, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to do like one a week. I'm just going to slow down because whatever. But then I
Yeah.
realized like I don't want to slow down because I really enjoy this. This is the most fun I have all week is talking to my friends and getting to be me. But then I've had two people write to me that like, they said during this time listening to me shoot the shit with my buddies was good for their mental health. And I was like, well, you tell me that, I'll fucking floor it for you, buddy. I will fucking put one out every other day. Like if
Yeah.
you tell me that, how am I going to stop? Like
Yeah.
it's tough
Absolutely.
to do, right? But like, so we're going to floor it. And then I hope I can take a break for a while, but it's too much fun.
That's amazing, man. Like keep doing what you're doing, man. You're crushing it out here, and I enjoy listening, and I know clearly a lot of other people over there do as well.
Well, man, I just like I think it's so great that like all my old friends will come on. Like it just it means the world to me. And like we haven't talked since for so long. And like we were tight. We were going to the bay like all the time for a
Yeah.
beer, a coffee, whatever it was, going
Oh
for a
yeah.
walk with the kids. Like, I don't know. It's just and then all of a sudden you go elsewhere and then you just never talk again. That's what hockey was. And I'm glad it's all coming back.
Yeah. Oh God. It's a great seeing thing to see too, right? I mean, you pick up pretty much where we left off. We got stories and they bring them up, right? You bring up these stories that you forget about. And like you said a few things today that I've already forgot about, right? And that might be due to all the punches in the head I've taken over the years. But it's good to hear, kind of the flashbacks.
Okay, well, I got a couple random questions, like because we haven't even been going that long, and I got some more stuff here. So one of the main things here for you is what is it like? Because I've played with other guys that have been through it. What is it like playing with diabetes?
Oh, here's the big question, eh?
Well,
Uh,
we'll get into it late night here. We'll get into
yeah,
it late night when we're getting deep.
Yeah, it's honestly, I got diagnosed at 6 years old. So um it's, pretty much was just second nature to me. Obviously, I gotta, you know, you know, take my blood test in between shifts or in between periods, and maybe take a needle during the game to, level up my blood sugars if it's too high, or keep a Gatorade on the bench if I need a little bit of boost. But again, like, as much as a pain in the ass it is, it's I was always a big advocate of never using it as an excuse, because it's nothing that should be able to hold you back. And it's you're seeing more and more people go on and play pro hockey with this, like the Max Domies and whoever else is out there, and former London Knight as well. He it's great to see, right? Especially from a young kid. And I was always trying to you know get in there to talk to young kids and do what I can in that aspect, because I know when I was a young kid diagnosed too, like, the amount of like outreach from former players like Nick Boynton at the time, right? That were, would write me letters because I knew somebody who he knew, and he would, be that guy for me, right? So it goes a long way, especially from a kid who, recently gets diagnosed, who thinks he can't do it because, he's got this now, right? So yeah, so it's about just not using the excuse, and you know following their dreams, I guess, right? I didn't make it, very far, but in terms of things, I had a pretty good go. And I think about, I deserved where I ended up to be, right? I have no regrets about, not making the NHL. I'm happy with the career I made, and, the friendships I made. And, but I can honestly say that the diabetes never held me back, right?
Well, no, and that's awesome, man. Not making excuses for shit and just giving her. Like, that's the way it should be. There's a lot of excuses these
Oh yeah.
days.
Oh yeah.
You know? I remember seeing you do it, and like I had a childhood friend that, like, I remember the first time I was ever around diabetes was actually at a cottage just down the road here. Was like a buddy slept over who's like younger, and then he wakes up in the morning and he was like a completely different person. And I was like, I couldn't talk to him. He was acting weird. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I got my parents, and then we had to go get his parents, and like, well, you just got to give him a cracker or whatever. And then he was back to normal. And it was like, well, what the hell was that? And I had never been around it. And then,
Mhm.
like, it seemed like that, like things advanced and things were better with everybody, right? That deals with it nowadays, right?
Absolutely. I think it's been a long road. And I think when I got diagnosed, there were like 10 years away from a cure, and now it's 10 years away after that. And there keeps being this whole thing, but just in terms of like what things to eat and how to manage it better, they've learned a lot. From London, Ontario, actually, the insulin was discovered. If anybody's been down Adelaide Street, was the flame of hope. It's that's where they have the diabetes. So they think when that gets extinguished, that's when diabetes is cured.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, like I don't know. I don't know what that's like. That's why I had to ask about it.
Yeah.
Like, there, like, for what you did in your career, man, like, and you got an MBA. So what, I can't remember. What did you oh, you're a firefighter now too, and you did all that. Like,
Yeah.
man, like, the one thing I would say, I told you this earlier, was that when it comes to like seeing people and seeing how healthy they are, and like, I think a lot of times that has to do with their mental health. Like, you look happy, you look healthy, you look like you're doing what you should be doing right now, man. You look like you're doing good.
Yeah, man, I'm super happy. And like, I mean, like, I'm on vacation here right now. I mean, you can't leave anywhere, but spend the day at the beach here in Vancouver, and you're kind of stuck here. But it's super easy, just to enjoy yourself out here. But at the same time, I bless a lot about that with just you know the people I surround myself with, and day-to-day life. So
Well, man, like when we should have been line mates, and I would have been really curious to see how it would have really worked. I think I think the whole game plan was me, you, and Herv the Perv as the
I
third
think
line.
that would have been great, man. You guys,
Yeah,
couple water bugs buzzing beside me.
but like it never did work out, and but like we did become friends, and we spent the year together, and how close you got with my kids, and you'd come to the playground with me, you'd hang out with me. Like there's a lot of dudes in hockey, especially younger ones or whoever, that you have kids, they're like, I'm not going near it. I'm not coming. But like that year, man, I'd have 7, 8 different guys that want to hang out with me, even though I have the kids with me. Like it made it so much fun, even though I was going through I guess a dark time, you know?
Mm. Yeah, man, I felt so bad for you that year too, right? That's no one wants to leave the game that way, and especially the way you love the game and the way you played the game. And it's a shitty way to see a buddy go out of the game like that, right? So
Well, I'm
uh,
not out of the game, buddy. I'm back. Don't worry about it.
you're
It's
back.
all
You're
good.
back.
It's
You're
all good.
back in. You're
Yeah.
back going. Nice
Yeah.
one, man.
Yeah. Fuck. We're all good. We're fine.
Good buddy.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. Do you got anything else for me before we shut it down?
I'm good, buddy, and thanks for just kind of bring me on, and just good to see it, right? I mean,
Oh man.
yeah, even if nobody watches this, I'm happy I got to catch up with you. And
Nobody watches this. We're gonna be #1 in the UK
number
this
one.
week. Yeah. Yeah. Even if I gotta do 5 a days, we're gonna be #1 in the UK, folks. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Okay.
Nice
We
one,
got a
buddy.
goal. But thank you so much. And like literally, I didn't really get to talk about this much on the podcast, folks, but like that 2015-16 season, my wife would tell me about it. She'd say the girls would get together and like they just couldn't even get their shit together. They would just talk about this guy that would spray his hair with water, flip his hair in the air, skate around. Then he'd be holding my daughter like the nicest guy in the world, and they just couldn't contain themselves. And I understand it. I totally get it. And then I hear he's been at the Lani Kai with his top off, and I'm like, I can't imagine that time of his life, because I've never had any of those times in my life. I've always been 5'8" and out of shape. And I tell you, it's been great to catch up with you and just get to know what the other side of the shoe looks like.
Yeah, buddy. It was great catching up, man.
Hey, and that has been another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Salty, Wally, and Zoe.